Today's Crunch Time Players brought to you by Cheez-It, and today we're taking a deeper look at this season's Heisman race. Okay, the top 5 best odds for Heisman according to ESPN Bet are as follows. Travis Hunter at -115, Dillon Gabriel at +360, Ashton Jeanty with the third best odds at +600, Cam Ward falling behind the pack, unfortunately, at +800, and Curtis Rourke at +1500. For more on the Heisman.
Why did Cam Ward drop?
Unfortunately.
Listen. That was so rude.
I had to. I've been waiting all week.
No, listen, we're obviously all in a group chat, and I was like, that didn't happen. Okay, we're not looking at it. We're not paying attention to it. We still love you.
Hate to see
Ward
you
also gave his whole entire team, offensive line, some change this week. It's a good week. Okay, we're not talking about it, but we are going to talk a little bit more about this Heisman race. Steve, when you look at the Heisman odds, who do you think is going to would win the Heisman right now?
Travis Hunter. I do wonder moving forward if wins and losses matter.
Yeah.
But I think he's so enamoring, and with what he brings to the table, people have been dying to see him. You know, we got a taste last year, but to see him go through the whole season now, it's just incredible. So he has the perception no one else has because he's constantly on the football field. That's the way I look at that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I would also say this for Travis, when it comes to wins and losses, well, the ball's in Colorado's court right now, right? If you continue to win and you make a Big 12 championship game, I would think that would work in his favor when it comes to that category that you just mentioned, wins and losses.
And I think, too, when we talk about guys that play on both sides of the ball, obviously he draws a lot of comparisons to Charles Woodson. The thing to me that's different about Travis Hunter is I don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, I don't think that you could say when he was on the field, on either side of the football, he was always the best player on the field at the time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think that's the thing that stands out with Travis Hunter.
When the offense is on the field, they're trying to get the ball to him.
Yeah.
You know?
I liked his post about his Heisman race, him against him. It was pretty dope. If you haven't seen it, go to his Instagram. HD, you also like Dillon Gabriel. Why is that?
I do. Before the season even started, I thought Dillon Gabriel had an opportunity to win the Heisman because, number one, of his supporting cast, but how efficient he is throwing the football, completing 74.1%, over 2,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. But it's not just the pass game. It's the ability to be a threat in the run game. When he gets into the red zone, I was in the end zone for that game against Ohio State when it was a third down play, and he ran that zone read and took it to the end zone for a score to go up like late in that ball game. So Dillon Gabriel brings a lot to this team. The most total touchdowns ever in college football history with 180. That also lets you know the athleticism of Dillon Gabriel. Plus, he plays on the #1 team in the country.
That's the
number
thing,
one team in the country.
If they trip up, he's out. Just like what happened to Cam Ward. That's exactly going to happen to him. So, you know, as long as and that's the problem with the way the award's gone. It feels like quarterback on the best team all the time. And, you know, that I think Travis Hunter's story is so refreshing because it's not that, and we've been beaten over the head with the quarterback on the best team.
That's my favorite right now, Travis Hunter.
As soon as there's a banana for him to slip on, and for him to find a reason to not give it to him. That's what has been shocking to me is that he has been in the conversation basically from the jump. Because we talked about it probably a month ago now, where it's like, hey, like, it took us so long to be like, okay, you know what, Devontae Smith, yes, you should win the Heisman Trophy. I'm shocked we haven't done that same thing with Travis Hunter, and I'm glad we haven't, honestly.
Let's talk about a guy that I feel like we did talk about a lot at the beginning of the season, but he's kind of slipped a little bit, Ashton Jeanty. And you mentioned playing for the best team. Obviously, we're not talking about Boise State that much. However, he is putting up record numbers. He could challenge Barry Sanders for the all-time rushing touchdowns record. So have we not been giving him enough attention?
The problem is he's not on, you know, big stage games.
Yeah.
You know, whereas there's so many people voting on this award, and I hate to say it, there's a lot of lazy people out there that won't go find the game.
No, don't hate to say it. Call them out.
I mean, it's a fact.
Call a spade a spade.
It's the fact. I mean, I'm biased because it happened to all my Stanford guys back in the day with Gerhardt and McCaffrey and Andrew Luck, and it's just the fact. It's not a well voted on award, and people that have votes shouldn't. But going back to Jeanty, he's got a great performance against the #1 team in the country, but again, two things. He's constantly going to be compared to Barry Sanders, and Barry Sanders' thing was 11 games. Like that thing, there's no bowl games in there. Like that's what he did. And that that comparison, and also his team. Like, people see Boise State in the bracket now, and they just think Jeanty. If they fall out of that, he's going to fall down with them.
And you mentioned not the big games, they're on late. And then I think the thing that's newer with social media, he was at one point the shiny new thing.
Yeah.
And we gave him his due because of that. And now he's not the shiny new thing anymore. And so we've kind of gotten bored with it. And so now it's back to, oh yeah, but Travis Hunter and Dillon Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
And then honestly, like, we might see, maybe a Curtis Rourke jump up if he has a huge game against Ohio State or something like that, because it's that next moment.
Yep.
Ashton Jeanty's already had his moment in
But
the
let me say this about Jeanty, though. This young man has 4 games in which he's had over 200-plus yards rushing. He's had 5 games with 3 touchdowns or more. That's insane to me. I don't care what level you play.
He also didn't play in the second half of 2 games.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. All right, Steve, who is the best value bet for Heisman this season?
Shedeur Sanders. I just feel like the way he makes that team go, I get it. Travis is the elite prospect and plays both sides. But the way the command Shedeur has, didn't start out great last week, and then he comes out, makes an adjustment, and I just love how much better he's gotten himself. Arm strength, accuracy, and, we made this big deal about Caleb Williams always playing under duress last year. He's made a career out of it, and now he actually has some decent O-line play, and you see that better in his accuracy and his throws. I love the kid. I look at every week last year during that losing streak, he was getting battered. He kept getting up, answering the bell, and he just looks so pretty. Like, he's just so, like, the way he gets hit, you're not supposed to be able to look that pretty, and he just does it. I absolutely love the kid. So
Deion Sanders is going to coach for the Dallas Cowboys next season. I figured we should just
let's start.
This ain't Get Up, Christine.
I'm going to stir it up next time you're on Get Up. Why not the Raiders?
Hey, man.
But see,
why not the Raiders?
That's an area that I'm looking at right now, because that's the one team that I'm looking at NFL-wise, playing in the AFC West, where you have Denver, the Chargers, and the Broncos all have quarterbacks. But the one team that doesn't have quarterbacks, quarterback is the Las Vegas Raiders.
There you go. I just wanted to get that conversation in here. Okay, HG, are there any dark horses that you think we should be looking at when it comes to the Heisman race?
For me, I think Harry mentioned it. When you look at Indiana's quarterback, Curtis Rourke, he still has that game versus Ohio State next week. So if he goes in the horseshoe and he balls out, then he could jump a lot of people, in my opinion.
There's, we're going to get into rivalry games coming up here, but as far as games that matter the most, that game next week is monstrous. Monstrous. So if he plays well, and he's played, watching the tape, that throw last week he made, and then the touchdown he gets hit on, he's from the MAC. He didn't have the name brand, wasn't really a top-rated quarterback in the portal. But when you put on the tape, man, their skill guys are better than you think, and his accuracy is excellent. And he's in total command of the offense. It's a very versatile offense, and that's what makes me so fired up to see what they could do against the Ohio State defense next week.
Still plenty of football left to play. It's going to be very interesting. Good to be in Athens, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we used to come here all the time. This is our first time here this season.
They are pretty spoiled there.
Exactly.
It's also great for me and Harry to be home.
Georgia.
Sorry about the loss last week, too.
It was awful. It didn't happen. Nobody's paying attention. Thank you so much, Steve.
What didn't happen?
Shut up.
Speaking of loss, my Louisville Cardinals will hand your Stanford Cardinal a loss today.
Wait,
I got Louisville on the board. I got them on the board.
That
Plural and singular.
But it's a fact. There's not been a team that's worse against the point spread against ranked teams in the last 5 years in Stanford. But you know what else we got in that game?
What?
Cardinals versus the Cardinals. There you go.
That's cute. How precious.
And Louisville
I love
will have more fans there.
Well, we'll see who wins. I feel like you guys have to put a bet on it.
No, I'm not betting on that. He knows. I'm rooting for Louisville. I love Louisville.
Bet on Milk Duds, since I'm the only one left out.
You need to get some.
You got to shave his head. If you lose, you got to shave your head. All right, I love that. Okay, there'll be 4 Balties on the show next week. Thanks so much, Steve.
All right, thanks.